This is Matt Hurt at Obsessive Viewer on Twitter.
This is Tiny at Obsessive Tiny on Twitter.
And this is ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast. And welcome to the Obsessive Viewer. We're I was going to make a joke. I forgot that I didn't say the Obsessive Viewer podcast because I wanted to say the Obsessive Viewer Pukecast.
God.
Yeah. Anyway.
Thank you for not.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to the Obsessive Viewer. We're a movie and TV podcast that covers a specific topic, be it genre, trope, movie, or show, each episode. You can find more of our work at ObsessiveViewer.com and like us on Facebook and join the Facebook group at Facebook.com/TheObsessiveViewer. And then also, if you're in Indianapolis, as of today, we're recording it on the 19th of July, tickets for the 5th annual Shocktober in Irvington are on sale. So,
nice.
Yeah, so, from now until September 4th, you'll be able to get the early bird price of $6, per ticket. You can find that at shocktober2018.eventbrite.com or just go to shocktoberinirvington.com. And if you're unfamiliar, Shocktober in Irvington is a yearly event that we host in Irvington, that basically we screen short horror films from local filmmakers. We raffle off prizes and do Q&As with the filmmakers after each screening. It's a lot of fun. It's our 5th year doing it. All proceeds go to the Irvington Historical Society. And also this year we will have a cash bar that's sponsored by our friend Tony Troxel over at Kiki in Indiana. So we will have a cash bar for the first time. So that's exciting. So again, that's October 12th at the Playground Production Studios in Irvington. Go to shocktoberinirvington.com for more information. Whew. All right.
Word.
Yeah. And then also, finally, the episode, of course, is sponsored by Horror Movie Yearbook, which you can find at horrormovieyearbook.com or at HM Yearbook on Twitter. It's a horror movie podcast that discusses different horror movies by the year of release and contextualizes them and discusses them in view of the current events and pop culture of the year of release. So thank you to Horror Movie Yearbook and the Midwest Podcast Network for sponsoring us for so long on Patreon. So, Tiny.
Yes, sir.
How's it going?
It is going.
Good. I think this is like the first, like, I don't want to say real, like regular episode that we've
Matt
had.
and Tiny have a podcast.
Yeah. Have a podcast. That's going to be a pain in the ass to edit out.
Yes, it is.
It's gonna be a pain in the esophagus to edit out.
Yeah, you gotta leave it in.
All right. Yeah. Let's not even reference it. Let's not.
Okay.
Like that. Like our listeners won't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. So we're coming hot off of the special episode last week with Mike.
Mike.
In studio.
So good to have him back.
Yeah, and I do have to say I did feel bad that I left it as a surprise for you.
Why? It was awesome.
No. Like I totally get that. But like I feel like if I had been like, "Oh, hey, Tiny, Mike is going to be here," like probably, it would have been more like not that I don't know, like maybe your schedule could have moved around a little bit.
Yeah.
I felt like you only had a couple hours with Mikey.
Right, I got here late.
Yeah.
That's all right, though. The surprise made up for it.
Nice.
Because I was, I had no clue. Like, I wouldn't even have thought.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to, give me a Coke as a surprise or something like that. Like, I wasn't expecting a human person.
Right.
Yeah,
and had I not, you are a gun owner.
I am.
And I know that I'm glad that you don't, bring your gun to my apartment.
I don't.
Because that could have been terrible.
Plus, I don't know what scenario would have to happen where I would feel the need to draw my weapon.
Right.
When I saw Mike White.
Right.
Oh, boy.
But it was a dark bedroom.
It was.
Yeah. That
would have been like a Family Guy cutaway.
Right.
Like that time you killed your friend.
Jeez. So anyway, today is a kind of another kind of special or unique episode. We are basically, we haven't really, like, we're still kind of in catch-up mode.
Yeah.
And so we both have, like, we had planned on doing an extended potpourri at some point, which is interesting because when Kirsten was on, I did an extended potpourri. But, like, it's been a while since we've had, like, our own little palaver. We should probably record a Tower Junkies.
We should. It's been a minute.
It really has been.
A hot minute.
Yeah, and I also need to do anthology. I'm sorry, guys.
Life.
Yeah. But
It
anyway.
finds a way.
Yeah. It's, 1 minute you're sitting on the couch, next minute you're puking in the bathroom. But,
Yeah.
Jesus. All right. Anyway, so instead of doing the conventional extended potpourri, I have recently been getting more and more into Letterboxd as I've been watching more and more movies.
Right.
So, like, I've got some downtime at work, or time where I can just kind of relax a little bit. It's not as quickly paced as it was when I was in the call center. So, like, I just like to browse Letterboxd and everything. So I had the idea that we could do a Letterboxd potpourri, where we each have our phones out and we each have the other's Letterboxd diary open. And so we're just going to take turns asking each other what we thought about different movies on our lists or on our diaries. So before we do that, do you want to talk a little bit about Letterboxd and stuff like what your username is and how do you use it? Have you utilized the list function yet?
No, I haven't used the lists function. It's funny because I paid for the premium.
Right.
When you told me you sold it really well, and it's awesome. I just haven't dove into it really.
Right.
There's no particular reason why. It's just I haven't for any reason. I just haven't done it. What is my username? Is it Obsessive Tiny? I think it is.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Well, one of the great things about the app is you can just open it up and just you hit one button and you search for it and it pops up. You click on it and you can just check into, like, I can check into a movie in like 15 seconds.
Oh, totally.
And put it on my diary. And then, like, I've been trying to wait till the movie's over so I can throw at least a star rating on it.
Right. Maybe
a couple words. But it's hard because I feel like I'm going to forget.
Yeah.
And I don't want to forget and leave stuff
totally
off the
get
list,
that.
But it's such a fluid app. It's very
nicely designed.
Right.
It's
so
like,
I don't even have to, like, it's just, I don't have to think about it very much, and it just kind of, it's just a smooth app, and it's so user friendly that I don't even, it's so easy to not, like, I guess it's good because you can do both. You can kind of do it both ways, where you like really dive into it and get into the minutia and everything, or you can just kind of use it as a way to log movies and just use it in a very simple form.
There's a versatility to it that you can use it for really any thing. Now, you don't tag your entries, do you?
I usually tag them with the format in which I watch the movie, and that's it. Okay,
so I had some downtime, and now I wanted to kind of. By the way, my username is @obsessiveviewer on Letterboxd. Like I've been very diligent about tagging all of the movies in my diary and everything on Letterboxd. And what's kind of great is, like, if you go to like a tag or go to like a list or anything, like I don't remember having this function before, but like if you go to like, I went to my Netflix tag of all the movies I watch on Netflix, and like the filters you can apply to it is amazing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So before I get to the tags, because I have a bit that I want to share with you.
Okay.
The watch list. Have you added any movies to your watch list or anything?
No.
I feel like this could be a really great like tool for like what we do.
Okay.
And everything, because like I'm so again, I had some downtime. I've been adding a lot of movies.
Okay.
Do you want to take a guess how many movies are on my watch list? Like my list of movies to watch.
74. 174. 374.
Are you ready for this?
Okay.
Okay. To preface this, if you go to stats when you're on Pro, it has like you've watched this many of the IMDb 250, the Edgar Wright's 1,000 movies you must see before you die.
Oh my gosh!
Like all of these lists. So my watch list is currently at 1,457.
Oh my god!
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
That's a few.
It is.
Wow.
But what's cool is like I can go like okay, I can sort by like release date or the film length, the popularity, and like it's like there's so much stuff. So like if I'm like okay, what movie was it that I watched recently? I don't remember, but basically I can go to genre. Like if I'm in the mood for a comedy, just apply the genre filter to comedy, and it's like okay, well I kind of want a recent comedy, so from the 2010s. And then I have a list on my watch list of comedies from the last like 10 years.
Yeah.
That I can choose from. But yeah, anyway, so it's ridiculous. And so before I go back to the tags thing, lists.
Yeah.
Now, Tiny, I don't know if you know this about me. I'm fond of making lists.
Yeah.
Of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You sent us one earlier this week.
I did.
To Mike and myself.
Yeah. And I'm gonna keep that one close to the vest. Because I think after next week I'll talk about that.
Again, the detail and the minutia.
Yeah.
That you're into.
It's
was on full display when you sent us.
Oh yeah. Anyway, so I've been into making lists on Letterboxd. Mm-hmm. And so what I did recently, because like I have the standard like, top movies of 2016, 15, 14, 13, 2017, all that.
Right.
And then I did have, for a while now, I've had every movie we've reviewed on the Obsessive Viewer podcast as a list.
Wow.
So there's just a list there, and I think if you read the notes, it has a link to each episode. It's funny because The Dark Tower, it's OV217 to OV218. Also check out towerjunkiespod.com.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so I like having that there, and also, free promotion for us.
Right.
And then the most recent one that I started that I need to add the links to and everything is Obsessive Viewer Potpourri, which is a running list of nearly every movie we have discussed in the Potpourri segment of the Obsessive Viewer podcast.
Oh my god.
And the reason for that is when you open a list on Letterboxd, while you're signed into your account, it will give you it says of this list of an obscene amount of movies that we've referenced on in Potpourri. I don't remember how many there are in there, but anyway, of all of those movies I have seen, at least as far back as my diary goes on Letterboxd, which is back to 2013.
Okay.
I've seen 66% of them.
Jeez.
So, I would like to eventually get that to 100%, because, I would like to be able to, say that I've seen every movie that we've discussed.
Wow. That's cool. That's an interesting goal.
Right? It's interesting.
Yeah.
And what's great about it, and we'll be using this, later on for future episodes and stuff, you can filter, it's 321 movies in this list.
Okay.
You can filter it by, you can filter it by movies you've watched or movies you haven't watched. Mm-hmm. So, I can just, I just have the other, math is hard. 34% of movies that I haven't, seen.
Yeah.
So, boom.
I'm looking through some of the popular lists.
Oh yeah.
And some of them are just really funny. There's some good ones, films directed by women, 2019 Oscar contenders. And there's one that's just called Vintage Lesbians.
Right, I saw that.
There's one that's just called Bit Gay. It's a bit gay. That's funny. Oh. But isn't there a way you can look at some of the top lists? Like IMDb top 250 or
yes.
or AMC's top 100 movies of all time or something like that.
So the way that you kind of do that, it's kind of tricky, because the way that I looked up Edgar Wright's 1,000 movies to watch before you die or whatever, was I just typed in Edgar Wright's and then went to lists.
Gotcha.
And then Yeah, it's Edgar Wright's 1,000 favorite horror or favorite movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm considering next year trying to set a goal, a movie goal again.
Nice.
Because I haven't done that in a couple of years.
A movie a day?
Oh fuck no!
Yeah,
I will
watch a movie a day.
Never do that again.
We have verbal commitment from Tiny. He's gonna watch a movie every day.
But I thought about like finding a list like that, like a top 100 list or something like that.
Yeah.
And just trying to like not commit. I don't think I can commit to watching 100 movies.
Sure.
That are on specific movies, anyways. But being like, I want to get through as much of this list as I can this year,
right?
Or like a significant percentage.
Yeah.
And just using my pro account on Letterboxd to greater effect, and as a way to kind of keep me a little more disciplined and try to actually, especially with as easy it is to rent movies now.
Yeah, totally.
Like you can just go on Vudu or Google Play or Amazon or wherever and search, and most movies, I don't know about most movies, but a lot of movies you can find through digitally and just, $3 or whatever. It's not that big of a deal. So. Yeah,
and like I've talked about this before, but like something that I've gotten in the habit of doing is buying up Google Play gift cards.
Okay.
Like I have like in a certain area of my apartment, I have like $25 worth of Google Play gift cards.
Nice.
So, like the idea is that I want to kind of like collect them or like get them, and then toward the end of the year when I do this is like my 2018 catch-up viewings, like I use that to do that. Although the 25 that I have currently, I kind of want to get this is a tangent, but and I still need to talk about the tags. Damn it.
Yeah.
Anyway, at least we're on topic that's relevant to us.
Yes.
So relevant to the podcast. But anyway, so I have A-list for AMC A-list.
Right.
And so like you're able to like I was kind of part of me was just kind of curious what it's like to like reserve a ticket that's like a few weeks in advance because like it's a 3 movies per week thing. So I went ahead and was like, you know what? I've seen this trailer a lot. I've seen one of the 5 movies in the franchise, now 6 movies. So I went ahead and just reserved a ticket for Mission Impossible Fallout.
Okay.
For next Thursday.
Okay.
If you want to go next Thursday at 7.
Next Thursday. Okay, possibly.
Yeah. Ooh, nice.
I'm on call next week.
Ooh.
I can't commit to stuff like that because I could get a call and have to leave.
Oh, yeah. That would make our movie watching impossible.
Yes.
There would be fallout from that.
There would be.
Yeah.
Fallout 76.
Yeah. Be our mission to
different.
Oh, Fallout 76. Oh man,
different podcast.
Let's start a video game podcast.
No.
Okay. Anyway. So like now I have until Thursday to watch all of the Mission Impossible movies.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and like I was thinking like, I have $25 on Google Play. For $50 I can get the full franchise on Google Play.
Right.
For in HD. I'm like, maybe I'll spring for it.
They're not great.
Are they not buy-worthy?
No, they're not buy-worthy. Especially, I mean, the second one's a John Woo movie, which John Woo's fine. Like he's kind of fun, but
sure.
Does anyone have a John Woo collection who isn't a douchebag? I mean, really.
I don't know. I feel like there may be people, just in case someone listening has a John Woo collection.
That's true.
Yeah.
But anyways, like the one with Philip Seymour Hoffman, I don't remember which one that is. I think it's the third one.
Third
one. Yeah, that's a pretty solid movie. Mm-hmm. But then the rest of them are just kind of...
Really?
Yeah.
See, I'm glad you said that. Because I'm just going to rent them now.
The first one's a great movie. Mm-hmm. First one's good. But then, from there, I just...
It's funny because I feel like the first one's I've seen it maybe twice in my life, and like both times it's been kind of a slog for me.
Really?
And I feel like if I stick with it, because like Fallout's getting some really like good buzz. Oh yeah,
that's good.
And like I'm really attracted to the idea of practical action sequences and stuff. Because Tom Cruise is fucking insane and he does all of his own stunts and everything.
He cray.
Yeah. And also, I'm really attracted to the idea of a different director for each installment, which, of course, with Fallout, it's the first time a director has made a second Mission Impossible.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, Christopher McQuarrie.
Okay.
But yeah, so like I'm really intrigued by that concept of like the first 4 or 5 are all like unique directors putting their stamp on the franchise.
Right.
So yeah, I'll probably rent them Yeah. In that case, and then maybe eventually I'll buy them if I enjoy the franchise.
Okay,
but,
that's cool.
Yeah. But it was funny because I was also like, before we made plans to record tonight, tonight's Thursday for our listeners, I was like, yeah, is there a movie that's coming out Thursday? Because I have like one ticket left this week that I can see.
Nice.
And I looked, and the only thing that kind of caught my eye was there were two, like either the first Purge, but I haven't seen the other ones, and even though it's a prequel, I was like, I can't do it. And then the other one was the Equalizer 2. Which,
oh God.
Yeah, which I never saw the Equalizer.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah. And like I was thinking, like I almost rented it. I actually reserved the ticket for Equalizer 2, thinking like, oh yeah, like Tuesday or something, I'll go ahead and I'll watch the Equalizer and then go see the Equalizer 2 in the theater. And then like I looked up the Equalizer on Google Play to rent it, and I was like, it's like 2 hours and like 11 minutes.
Is it really?
Like,
Jesus.
Yeah. So
yeah, I did not like it. So
yeah, but anyway, to kind of circle back, if you go to your profile and stats, have you done that recently?
My profile, go to stats.
Yes, all the way down.
Okay.
Stats.
Dude,
have you not looked at this yet?
No, I haven't looked at mine since I paid for Pro. I forgot about all this.
And list progress.
Oh, okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Letterboxd Top 250, 3%.
Yeah. But then again, you've only backlogged, like, you don't have, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool, though.
Yep. So that's how you
was...
can get those lists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm decent on Box Office Mojo.
Yeah.
All-time 100.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, see, this is what I wanted to buy, the...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice. My most watched is Star Wars Force Awakens. Wow. Most watched actor is J.K. Simmons.
That's awesome.
And Bill Hader. That's random. Cool. Yeah. See, this is fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. On your laptop, do you have your movies list?
They're on there somewhere.
Okay.
Good luck finding them.
Yeah, because I was thinking, like, the reason why I asked you guys was, like, I was thinking, like, it would be kind of fun to... If I could get your login information, just go ahead and just fucking log.
You don't have to do
for
that.
Your stuff. Because I was thinking, like, it would be cool if we have all three of us have all of our shit on there from 2013, like I have. So the entire run of the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be as tempting.
Right. But then again, I don't know if I'd have. I mean, it would be a long process.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah. That's why we need an intern.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I should try to backlog them because I do like the idea of just having it all centralized.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
yeah.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yep.
So, film.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So, so back to the list, or the tags, I should say.
Okay.
So I am crazy, and I went through and I added a bunch of tags to a bunch of diary entries, because like each time I add, like I put the tag, and I put like you said, the format and everything. Like I have a strict like a parameter of stuff that I'll put in there.
Mm-hmm.
The latest thing that I did recently was I opened my tags for theater viewings. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, my Letterboxd is backdated to 2013. Like, I have all the movies I've watched from January 1st, 2013 to present day, logged, tagged, everything. So, total theater viewings in those 5.5 years, are 272.
Nice.
Yeah. So what I did, Tiny, is I opened up the 272 ones, and I added the names of the people that I saw.
Oh my
the movies
God!
with,
Shut up.
To each individual one.
Yeah.
And now there's some from like 2013, 2014. I genuinely don't remember if I saw with you or not.
Okay.
So this number may be a little inexact.
Okay.
But do you want to take a guess how many movies, according to my Letterboxd, you and I have seen in the theater together since January 1st, 2013?
60?
Oh, that's actually pretty close.
Really?
Yeah, 69.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's kind of neat.
Dang.
Yeah.
Am I number one?
Are you? I think you might be.
I thought Kirsten might have surpassed me recently.
You know, and I'm gonna bring this up when I have her on because she and I are gonna review Skyscraper.
Okay, nice.
Saturday.
Nice.
I don't think I actually told you that. Technically, the top one is the very sad tag I have for Alone.
Oh shit!
Do you want to guess how many movies?
Why would you do that to yourself? No offense, but I bet it's in the triple digits.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 118.
Wow, okay. The last 5 years, I've seen a movie Alone in the theater 150 times.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, which is weird. Well, I'll get into that when I have Kirsten on.
I bet my percentage, like the percentage of those that you've seen by yourself, my percentage is probably the same.
Oh, yeah.
Like I haven't seen 272 movies in the theater in 5 years.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I actually, at least I really used to. I used to really like going to the movies.
Oh, me too.
Alone.
I still do, kind of.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, I saw a movie this week by myself, and it was just like, because I always go see movies with Kirsten, and like, I'll see movies with you. And it's just like, I kind of miss it. I miss having someone there to talk to.
Right.
But yeah, do you want to guess how many movies I've seen with Kirsten?
46.
Wow. You're close.
Am I really?
57.
Okay.
Yeah. And then are any other ones? Of course, Movie Pass screenings at 71, which A-List is gonna. I mean, it's a matter of time. Like, by the end of this year, I'm sure A-List will probably. Well, no, not 71. That's ridiculous. By the end of one calendar year with A-List, it'll probably surpass that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so stats are fun.
Yeah. Totally.
Tags are fun. Yeah. So anyway, so let's get on with our actual episode.
Yeah.
Except for instead of just promoting this app that we have no affiliation with.
Right.
Which we literally have no affiliation with it.
Yeah. So I can get it started if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm bringing up your.
I'll give you something. That's what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yes.
So for those, again, what we're going to do is I am going to look at Matt's diary. He's going to look at mine, and I am going to pick films from his diary for him to tell me about, and vice versa. And so the first one, it's towards the top of your list, and you gave it 4 stars. Sorry to bother you. I'm curious what you thought of that.
Yes, it's funny because that's actually the movie that I was referring to that I saw by myself.
Okay.
Yeah, so Sorry to Bother You is it's really incredible.
Nice.
Yeah, it's written and directed by Boots Riley, who I'm not familiar. I guess he's a rapper. I don't know if he's like a mainstream rapper or anything, but it's his movie. He wrote and directed it. Stars Lakeith Stanfield, who was in Get Out. He plays this guy who gets hired at a telemarketing company, and like the trailers are somewhat, I wouldn't say deceiving, but like the trailers really play up the whole idea of this guy, like this black guy working in a telemarketing company as a telemarketer, and having to use his quote unquote white voice, which is basically him speaking with, oh man, why can't I think of his name off the top of my head? David Cross dubbing over him.
Oh my God.
Yeah, which is hilarious. And it's interesting because I was actually listening to Boots Riley on The Daily Show. They have their Daily Show Ears Edition podcast. He was talking about how like that scene that's in like the trailers and everything where Danny Glover is telling Lakeith Stanfield, he's saying that saying like, no, you got to use your white person voice. And then that's when he does that. But there's like, as he puts it in his interview with Trevor Noah on The Daily Show, it's like there's a lot more nuance to it when you actually see that scene in the context of the movie, because he's not like just like, it's not like just use your white person voice. It's like he goes on to explain like, no, not like white like Will Smith, like that's just speaking proper. You have to speak like you don't have any stress, or like you've never struggled to have your bills paid, or you have your bills paid on time, and like you don't have any debt or anything to worry about, or you're not worrying about, living in poverty or anything like that. That's your white person voice. And it's just like from there, that's a good like kind of microcosm or whatever of what the kind of the movie's about. It plays with a lot of really important topics, like white privilege is a very big thing about it. Also, it's hard to explain.
Yeah.
Because A, I don't want to spoil it, and B, I'm a white dude in my 30s.
Yeah.
So like it's kind of hard to articulate it, but like it has a lot of social commentary about what I imagine is the black experience and being in, while also playing with like having a satirical view of like corporate America and like corporate like capitalism in itself.
Okay.
And like kind of the distribution of labor and wealth and everything. And it's all packaged together in this movie that's really incredibly sharply hilarious. Like it's very funny and it's so weird. Like it is a movie that does not exist in the normal world.
Okay.
And it's so bizarre. Like visually, it's very interesting. The way that it goes, the path that the narrative goes through is kind of startling and very, very unique. And like the one downside of the movie is that it kind of feels like it's a little too, it's not as cohesive as it could be.
Okay.
Like it jumps around from one thing to another. Not necessarily jumps around from it to it or anything, but like it goes, like it makes this very sharp satire of, this guy in corporate America trying to, get his sales up in this really ridiculous call center environment.
Okay.
And then it goes to this other thing that's more about like slave labor and institutional slavery, I guess.
Okay.
Would be the word.
Okay.
And it's just, it kind of, while it does kind of drift through these different things, it's not like any of them are any of the statements that it's making. It's not like any of them suffer because they're jumping from different things.
Okay.
It's like each one is like very strongly portrayed, I guess. And there is a scene that is like it's I can't give anything away about it, but like it's so ridiculous but hilarious, and it's like an amazing satire of like it what I'll say is it basically depicts a bunch of white people interacting with a lone black person in trying to goad him into sharing some of his culture, I guess.
Oh my god.
It's the way that it plays out isn't like, it's not like a cringeworthy thing. I mean, it's cringy, but it's not like The Office or anything where like Michael Scott's saying like, oh, do black people like pizza?
Yeah.
It's like this really amazing, like, lack of self-awareness of a character asking him a question or telling him to perform something for him.
Oh my god.
And then what he does is like, it's another example of the movie being like this tilted version of the world. Like it's really unique. That's what I'll say about it.
All right.
Just really, really interesting. That's Sorry to Bother You. And I think this weekend it's actually expanding to more theaters. So
okay.
Yeah.
When I saw the trailers, it kind of looked like Charlie Kaufman and Spike Lee had a baby.
Yes.
That's kind of what it looks like to me.
Yeah, that's the exact vibe of it.
Nice.
Oh yeah. And it's interestingly enough, it is an interesting companion piece to Get Out.
Okay.
Like it's because like the next day at work I was watching Get Out on my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I love Lakeith Stanfield. I watched the first season of Atlanta, which he's on.
Okay.
And I was kind of lukewarm on it. I thought it was a really clever show and it's good. I just didn't necessarily care to keep following it, but he was like my favorite, like arguably my favorite part of the show.
Nice.
He's like this really scatterbrained, weird kind of guy.
I've seen like, I think I've seen like the pilot episode and yeah. I'm going to have to go back and watch that because
he's got a lot of range. I mean, and like he was in, Snowden. Just randomly popped up in Snowden, and I was like, dude, that's the dude from Atlanta. And then like, that's the dude from Get Out. And he's just like, his star is just on the rise right now.
Oh, totally.
Which is great. I really enjoy his work.
And he does such a great job in it. And sorry to bother you.
And Tessa Thompson as well.
Oh yeah. Tessa Thompson's great. Awesome in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's there's some interesting stuff with her.
Okay.
Yeah, she's very good in it.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah.
Great.
So that was my first one. In Tiny, there's a lot that I really want to pick your brain about.
Okay.
First, let's go with The Post.
The Post.
Which you saw in June.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's been a while.
It has been a while.
Yeah. Do you want me to go sooner?
No, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
The Post. Yeah. So I really kind of was bummed I didn't catch this in theaters. Cause I think what really sold it for me was like your description of how Steven Spielberg basically just like was like, I'm just going to make this movie that's like kind of about this, and I'm just going to do it in like a year. And he just like cranked this movie out in between projects, and it turned out to be like this Oscar nominated movie, and it's really freaking good. And so yeah, I finally hunkered down and rented it and watched it and everything. Nice. Of course I really enjoyed it. I love exploring the concept of the ethics of journalism. I think that's a really, for lack of or like pardon the pun, it's kind of a gray area. And I think it's interesting to explore the boundaries of what's ethical when it comes to journalism. And this movie explores that a little bit. And then it was also just so fun to kind of cherry pick the dialogue that could have like double meaning, or could like pertain to like the modern day fake news era, you know, or you know, since the 2016 election, all the journalism, the microscope that journalism is under, you know, the way we all talk about it and view it, and just I guess the modern or the current climate regarding journalism, and all that. It was just picking out the little pieces of dialogue that I think had some political charge to it, or some poignancy to the modern day. Was just kind of fun. It was like a little game to watch, to like play during the movie, figure out what this meant or what that meant, or so that was always fun. And I just one of the favorite things about it was the evolution of Meryl Streep's character. I think they established her really well right there at the beginning, as a kind of a timid person, and just the way she evolves over the movie, I think, and kind of the culmination of that, or the climax of her evolution, I think, is really, really satisfying, I guess. And not even in like I watched it with my wife, and she's kind of, I mean, I wouldn't call her like a feminist, but she's like, you know, she's always very aware of when she's like being mansplained to, or she's very aware of like, you know, established gender roles and how kind of silly they are in a lot of situations, especially in the professional world. Right. She does HR for a living, so she's she's hyper aware of those kinds of things. And so she picks up on those things a lot. And I think she had a really good time with the fact that, you know, the comeuppance of her character, was really satisfying in that regard. So I loved that part of it.
There's sorry.
Go ahead.
There's I don't know. I mean, it's not really a spoiler, but there's a shot toward the end of the movie with Meryl Streep on stairs, like descending a set of stairs. And it's just great imagery, because it's just like women, like she's in a sea of women that are all like looking at her and like admiring her. Yeah. Just really beautiful scene.
It really was. Yeah. A really, really potent moment of the movie. I agree. That was good. Yeah, and it's just an incredible story that a lot of people don't know about. I didn't really know anything about this.
Me neither.
I knew very little about the Pentagon Papers, and just the fact that this was a big controversy, and it was I thought it was especially funny to hear or entertaining to hear them describing the Washington Post as like a funny little paper. You know,
right.
It's like tell your little stories over there. You're cute. Like I was like the Washington Post, because that's like that's like a tentpole. That's like a flagship place for journalism.
Right.
Now. It's a big deal.
Oh yeah.
It's the the Washington Post and the New York Times are like, that's it. That's where you want to be. And that's where you go to for good news. And it's just funny to hear him talk about it like that.
Yeah.
And just again, a lot of the, I guess the attempt of a lot of the characters to maintain journalistic integrity throughout the movie was really interesting. Like, especially the part where I think they're at Tom Hanks' house and they're literally just digging through these files for hours and hours.
Yeah.
And they're trying to like find a way to craft their story where they're being respectful to the material and being respectful to the people who are discussed in the material.
Right.
And it's just like, I especially loved it because it's like, I think a lot of true journalists operate that way. They kind of tiptoe through their work and they're very precise and careful about how they word things, and it's hard. Like, it's hard to do.
Oh yeah.
And we're in this climate right now where people who operate that way are just being completely dismissed and being disrespected, frankly, and written off as fake news just because somebody said it.
Right.
That's what annoys me the most about the whole fake news thing, is that like someone can just come in out of nowhere and just say, "Oh, that's fake news." And that's it. There's no evidence given.
Right.
There's no it's not based on anything scientific. It's not even anecdotal. It's just like, well, I don't like what they said, or like I just don't like the position that news organization has, so they're fake news.
Yeah.
And that's all there is to it. And then it's just done. That's the end of the discussion. It's like, you think you made a point, but you haven't. You've just, it's you're literally just name calling. I mean, that's all you're doing. It's like calling them an asshole. It doesn't achieve anything. It's just, it's a completely emotional thing. It's not based on any kind of evidence. And I'm not saying there isn't fake news. I just think that's a really stupid term.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's a almost 100% emotionally charged thing. And I think this movie demonstrates, like, journalism is hard, and it's like people who really crank out quality stories and investigate things have a really hard job, and it's really important. And just the way that it's being treated today is really, it's just off-putting, and it's a little scary, and I think a lot of people are defending it, and I don't think it's going to go away. But I'm just curious what the future holds for integral journalism, journalism with integrity. And I think this movie kind of, in a roundabout way, there's a lot of subtext to the movie and a lot of, it's timely, I guess. But it really got me thinking about that. And I think it achieved that goal wholeheartely. So I really enjoyed the movie. I don't even remember what I gave it. How many stars did I give it?
I think
4?
you gave it 4.
Might have given it 4.
4 out of 5 stars.
Okay.
And I remember, because I don't know if I saw it before the new year. Because did I? I don't know if I had it on my top 10. I think I did. Anyway, like, I kind of viewed the Post, because, like, okay, the comparison is there to make comparisons to Spotlight from a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And, like, that's an easy thing to pick up on, or an easy thing to do. Yeah, I definitely didn't see it before the end of the year because I didn't put it in my top 10.
Right.
But it's, and like, while Spotlight is a better overall movie.
Yeah, I think so.
And it is just everything that Spotlight and the Post both do independent of each other. The Post does better than, Spotlight does better than the Post, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. But the thing that I kind of honed in on the Post is that it is like this twofold. One, it's this beacon to, like, tell, like, I feel like the way that Spielberg made it was like his way of saying, like, kind of communicating to the audience through subtext in the movie that, hey, you know, shit's going on right now that is not okay. And here's a story from the past about people that had incredible integrity that overcame being victimized by a person in power, by an administration. So here's how they did it. Like here's a mirror for the present day, because it is like it's same, like they made a big point of like Nixon attacking the newspaper or what have you. Right. And there are some very interesting similarities to be drawn there.
Absolutely.
So I really latched onto that. And that's one of the things that like I just love about art and this medium and everything is that this movie, like the kind of anecdote about it is that Spielberg was on post-production for Ready Player One. He read the script and he was like, oh, I want to make this now. And he made it and put it out within like 6 months or something like that. Something ridiculous.
Something crazy.
So it's just amazing that we live in a world where, like, I don't like to get political or anything, but at this point the world is on fire.
Right.
But like we're at a point where, you know, we need stuff like that. We need stuff that's, you know, making a case for common sense, for integrity, for something, because, you know, you have fucking barely literate. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, we need this kind of covfefe. But,
nice warm cup of covfefe.
Yes. I really loved The Post. I need to buy it because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's a good one. So another one on your list that's really caught my eye. You got a bunch I haven't heard of, but
nice.
I could ask you about, but I really want to know, partially because of the star rating you gave it, but also because I'm super interested in this movie, is what you thought of Won't You Be My Neighbor?
Nice. Okay. And it's funny, I was kind of hoping, on one hand, I was kind of hoping that you would bring this up now, because it's like our conversation about The Post is a pretty good segue into this. And then also, oh, crap. Well, I told Mike that the reason I'm borrowing your laptop is Mike wants to review it on Monday, because he saw it for...
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'll just lightly...
dang, okay.
Yeah. So I'll lightly talk, and I also wanted to talk to Kirsten about it on the podcast when I have her over on Saturday for it.
Just give us an appetizer.
Okay. Yeah. So Won't You Be My Neighbor is a documentary about Fred Rogers and about Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I didn't really watch Mr. Rogers as a kid.
Like, I was kind of on and off too with it. Yeah.
Like it just, I didn't, it wasn't on TV, like it wasn't anything that I grew up with or anything, so I didn't have that connection to it. However, what I will say, and this will be the little taste before you get my full review with Mike, coming out of the documentary, I feel like Fred Rogers is the closest thing to an actual real-life superhero the world has ever seen.
Wow.
And what I mean by that is the documentary beautifully paints him as this beacon of just good. Like, he is just a very good-natured, like, incredibly intelligent, like, gifted at communicating these things to generations of children.
Yeah.
And the effect that he had, like, he was such a force for good.
Yeah.
And, like, the documentary did a wonderful job portraying that and everything. And the reason why I said that it's good that you brought this up after talking about The Post is, like, it was such a heartwarming documentary that, like, I physically, like, in my body, when the credits rolled, like, I got up, me and Kirsten were walking down the row and then going out the doors. All I was thinking about was, now I have to go back out to this fucked up world that we're in.
Damn.
And like I had like a 2 hour or like hour and 45 minute just vacation from everything that's wrong with the world right now. So it was in that hour and 45 minutes was very much needed. And it was just it's really great. There are some bits in it that are very, very heartwarming. There's one in particular that surprisingly enough, like it kind of comes toward the end of the movie, and I won't give it away or anything, but like it's like the money shot of the documentary because it depicts or it shows Fred Rogers like engaging with someone. I won't say who or anything, but like what's communicated in that thing is like you can tell how transcendent his reach was.
Okay.
It's remarkable. Like he was such a superhero. Like incredible.
Do you think he has like a modern counterpart at all?
No. I honestly,
no one else can touch him.
I honestly, granted, also I don't watch like preschool shows or anything.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true.
But honestly, and maybe this is the point of the documentary. Maybe this is something that's just because of the documentary. But like, I came away from it thinking like, there's never been anyone like him, and I don't see how anyone else can be like him.
Wow.
Yeah, because he was just it is such an amazing documentary, and one of the great things about it, I'm dipping into what I'm going to say when I have mic on, but one of the great things about it is like going in, I didn't realize how worried I was. Like a lot of people said, like, oh, I'm worried that it's going to uncover like terrible things that he did in his real life.
Yeah. But
like, since I didn't have any connection with Mr. Rogers or anything, my kind of fear going into it is that it would be a lot of talking heads about people in his life. But a very big portion of the movie, like probably the majority of screen time, is archival footage of him speaking.
Okay.
And like talking about his career and like you get so much insight into what he's doing and how he's conveying these messages and everything, that it's like I'm so happy that there was all this footage of him to put together.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Like if our all of our waves and information that we put out into the universe, you know, like if you think about like I think about like the movie Contact, where they send a message, the aliens send a message to Earth, and it's Hitler giving a speech in Triumph of the Will. Like that's what they send back to us. Like I hope they find Mr. Roger waves instead of Trump on debating Hillary Clinton or something. You know what I'm saying? Like something like that. Yeah. Like I hope that's what they find amongst the cluster of waves that we send out into the universe. Yeah. Oh yeah. That would be that's a nice notion, if you will. Yeah. Wow. Such a feel good documentary. I loved it. I hope Netflix picks it up. Or maybe Amazon or something like that. I'd love to see it. Yeah. So I probably won't get to the theater to see it, but we'll see. Right. Yeah. Yep. Nice. Cool. So so this is one. This is a movie that I'm gonna have. I'm very curious what you thought of it, because you were very excited about it. And I saw it. It was actually the last movie I saw in 2017. Okay. And I just didn't get it. Okay. But judging by your rating, I think you did. Okay. So tell me about The Shape of Water, Tiny. Yeah, The Shape of Water. So I think he didn't get it, which that's okay. I get that. Sure. I do get that. But like, I think what blew me away about the movie is that almost every second of screen time was just like riddled with incredible visual detail. I think visually it's up there with some of the most incredible visually stunning movies of all time. Like Sin City and Avatar and Brazil and like these movies that just like you like I just could not take my eyes off the screen.
Okay.
I was just it's just such a gorgeous movie. And like in its own unique way. It felt like a
Guillermo del Toro?
I want to say Benicio del Toro.
Right.
It totally felt like Guillermo del Toro, but I mean that in such a great way. Like I feel like he really has developed his own style over the years, and it's just like this. Like if you like, I think if you had to pick a Guillermo del Toro movie to show to somebody as an example of what his style is, I think this actually trumps Pan's Labyrinth.
Really?
Which I would have gone to Pan's Labyrinth at the drop of a hat before.
Yeah.
Like that's his style. That's like his quintessential film. Although I haven't seen some of his early stuff, but this I think surpasses it because it just pours off the screen. The color palette was incredible. Just so visually incredible, and I loved it. And then I think it is a monster story, but it's just from a different perspective. It's in that regard, and I think it's fresh in the regard that it's kind of taking a bit of a trope from the past, like a monster movie, and just changing the perspective and making some little tweaks. And it's like, oh, that's if you see a movie like this, you'd be like, oh, that's clever, that's cute, or that's interesting. I like how they flipped the script on this, but
right.
I think it goes beyond that. I think it goes beyond something gimmicky or kind of cute, because I think you have just such a remarkable connection between two characters that are different species. And I think it's because the one character has a disability.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what makes their connection so unique. Or I think if the main character was not a mute, and she was just a normal lady who goes and, has her voice and everything and goes and cleans up in this lab at night, I don't think she would have made that connection with the creature. And I don't think you'd have a story there. It would be obviously a lot more tragic. And I think that's such a unique such a unique way to spin together a meet cute between two characters. Sure. It's something we just haven't seen before. I know what originally piqued my interest in this movie was obviously the fact that it's Guillermo del Toro, but I heard him being interviewed on the radio on NPR,
right?
Like right before the movie came out, and his passion talking about his inspiration for the movie dates back to when he was like 8 or 10 years old, and he went to see The Creature from the Black Lagoon, and when he lived in Mexico City as a kid, and he just had the idea as a kid, which I think this speaks monuments to his imagination as a person. As a kid, he was watching that movie, and he was watching the scene in that film, which I haven't seen that movie, but I know the scene he's talking about where the creature is swimming underneath a woman who he finds fascinating and intriguing, and there's this music playing, and it's almost like this creature is falling in love with this woman. But that's not what that movie's about. The movie's about, this crazy creature who's attacking people and stuff. And he sat there as a kid and was like, man, I want to see that movie. I want to see the movie from the perspective of the monster and why that monster is falling in love with a woman and stuff like that. And I was like, what 8-year-old kid has that notion watching a monster movie? I was like, that's what piqued my interest in. Man, I think he just captured that notion just so beautifully. And I think some of the other characters, I just feel like they fleshed out so many of these characters so well. Octavia Spencer is just delightful. She's that lady that you work with who's always got something to say.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And she's got something to complain about. Like, everyone knows that lady.
Oh, yeah.
I think she played it so well. And you finally get to like kind of see her in a different environment at home at one point, and it kind of, sheds more light on her character. And then, arguably the most interesting character was, Richard Jenkins. Yeah. Who, man, he was nominated for an Oscar, and I'm so glad because he was just so incredible. Just such an introspective character.
Yeah. And that diner scene.
Yes. Man, he's so good. He's such a good actor. And the character was, I just loved it. The fact that he's very, very much, most of the characters in the movie are just like kind of fish out of water.
Right.
Pardon the pun. And then Michael Shannon, such a good bad guy.
Yeah.
Just such a good bad guy. And he really creeped it up in one scene in particular where, I won't spoil it, but there's a scene where he like intentionally spills something in order to get the main character to come clean it up, and it's kind of an intimidation scene.
Yeah.
And there's just a line that he has. I was just like, ooh, like I physically shuddered when he said it, and I was like, man, he's just so good.
I don't remember the line.
I don't think it's a spoiler, but he says, "I bet I could make you squawk a little."
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was just like, I shuddered. I was like, oh my God, that's a horrible thing to say to a person. I just, man, and whew, made me shudder. But the number one thing for this movie that just jumped out at me is just, it is so beautiful. I think I seriously consider it to be like, it is in the upper echelon of visually stunning movies. Nice. I really think it's that good. I just loved every scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I can't really disagree with really anything, because I mean, while I didn't take to it, like the points you make, like I can definitely see it in the movie. Like I can see you making that connection or connecting with the story as it's told and everything.
Yeah.
The main fault for me for the movie was really just I just couldn't. I couldn't get into the relationship.
Okay.
Between her and the Mr. Fishman.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. Maybe it's because there was too much of that barrier.
Okay.
Because she's mute, he's a fish monster thing.
Right.
That I couldn't connect to it because I felt like maybe there should have been more of a bridge between them to bridge the gap between them.
Okay.
And then on the other hand, maybe it was just so much stuff going on in the movie, in such a bizarre movie, like I couldn't get into. I don't know, but yeah, like the performances are great. Visually, it is immaculate. Like it is like there's a sequence that's, I guess, a fantasy sequence. Stunning. Like that was like a stunning portion of the movie. But I just couldn't buy into the relationship or anything, and that there was that emotional disconnect for me that I just couldn't latch onto it.
Yeah, I get that, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. There were some things I wasn't crazy about. I think it was a tad bit too long. I think it needed just a little bit of editing,
sure.
Especially maybe with Michael Stolbarg's character, which I didn't really mention him, but he was also just incredible. Like I would have thought he was an actual Russian person.
Oh yeah,
he was really incredible. But I think his character maybe. It's hard to say that they overdeveloped his character, but you know what I'm saying? I think they could have trimmed some of the fat there.
Sure.
And then just in regards to the relationship, I'm not going to spoil it, but like the length that it goes to at the end, I was like, man, I really don't want to spoil it, but I was like, it's a little too perfect.
Okay.
It just ended a little too perfectly. Like I think, and obviously this is a science fiction movie, it's a fantasy, but I was like, it was too, like I couldn't buy it. They tried to sell something a little too far, I think. They tried to send it a little too far down the river, to use another water pun, water saying. But it went a little bit too far. I still think it's a happy ending, and it was sort of, I didn't see it coming really.
Sure.
But I think it was just too unrealistic, even for a fantasy world, or just beyond. It went a little too far. That's all.
Too fantastical.
Yeah. But it would have been in my top 5 for the year if I had seen it. Absolutely.
Interesting. That's good.
I'm probably going to get the Blu-ray.
Oh wow.
Also, I rented it in 4K.
Okay.
I have a 4K TV, and I've never done that before. I think it's worth it.
Really?
I think it was like another $1 maybe. I was like, yeah, that's worth $1, especially with a movie like that. If you're watching a comedy or something, maybe not, but man, maybe that was partially responsible for the visual stunning,
sure,
the way it especially jumped off the screen.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think even if you were watching it, a frickin', a pirated version from China, I still think would still look pretty amazing. So
yeah,
but yeah, I can understand where the relationship had a bit of a disconnect for you. I do get that.
Sure.
So, but man, I loved it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I know that you were really looking forward to it, so that's good.
I was, yeah. Really wish I had seen it in theaters.
Yeah.
Really missed out on that.
Yeah. So. I should probably upgrade my TV at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're so affordable now.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even just going to Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be Black Friday. Just
right.
You can get a 55-inch for under $400.
See, that's I might.
Yeah. Like 4K with all kinds of features and stuff.
Like a smart TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
nice. I may have to do that at some point.
I recommend her.
Yeah. If you guys want to donate to my fund, anyway, obsessiveviewer.com/donate. So now it's your turn to.
Yes. So the third one I had my eye on was kind of lighten it up a little bit, was the movie Blockers, because I've heard some really good things from quite a few people about this, and you gave it a good rating. So
I did. Man. Let's see. Did I? Oh, okay. I'm trying to remember if I mentioned this on the podcast, but I didn't. I was just talking to. I think.
Have you talked about it on the podcast so far?
Have I? No.
I don't think you have.
No, I definitely haven't. So Blockers is interesting because I found myself in like a mood. Like I was in the mood for a very specific type of movie, and that type of movie was mainstream R-rated studio comedy that I haven't seen. And so Blockers is that. Like it's, mainstream, it's a studio comedy and everything. But basically it's about a group of parents, played by Ike Barinholtz. Why can't I remember her name? Leslie Mann.
Okay.
And John Cena.
Yeah.
Who discover that their daughters, they're not related or anything, but their daughters are best friends, and they have made a pact to lose their virginity on prom night.
Okay. So
it's about them trying to cock block their daughters.
Right.
And what's interesting about it is that it's not the straightforward comedy you would expect. Like it's not a bunch of stupid like sex jokes or jokes about like, I need to, this is a wacky adventure that we're on to make sure that my daughter doesn't do something she's going to regret or anything.
Right.
Like it is very much like in like observant of the kind of cultural zeitgeist that we're in right now.
Okay.
It is like certain characters have certain positions on it. Like one of them doesn't want their daughter to have sex because he knows something about his daughter that she hasn't revealed yet, or isn't sure of because she's a teenager.
Right.
And then like it's just a really fresh take on the teen sex comedy.
Okay.
Because it's from the perspective of these adult parent characters, and it's not like this teen sex romp. It's just I really loved it. I don't know exactly what else I can say without going into too much detail, but
you wrote a good review of it on Letterboxd.
Oh yeah, I don't remember it.
I like what you wrote. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I actually wrote a lot. Holy shit.
You said you were surprised by the emotional weight of the movie.
Yes, there was a lot of emotional weight in the movie that I was surprised by. No, it had a lot of poignant moments between the parents and the children. There was like it's just really interesting because it's the type of, it's kind of a reversal or send up of the type of movie that I love, like American Pie, Superbad, like those types of comedies.
Yeah.
And like this is just subverting it in such a fresh way, while also being extremely like sex positive and very tolerant of different things in the world.
Okay.
It's really unique because I didn't necessarily expect that much cultural relevance or that much societal relevance, I guess, if that's a phrase or a term, out of this particular comedy. Because like I said, I just wanted a straightforward, mainstream studio comedy.
Yeah.
And also, like, you know, these days, you know, they like The Hangover came out, and you had Ed Helms and Bradley Cooper and Zach Galifianakis, and like that whole group of guys. Like, you wanted to see more of them. You wanted to see like the sequels and everything. Like the triumvirate of John Cena, Leslie Mann, and Ike Barinholtz. Like, I could watch these three actors play off each other and do comedy in any scenario.
Nice.
Not to say I want to see a Blockers 2, because there's no way, like, they can't. Sense. Yeah. But just like they play off each other so well. And like, even though it is very culturally relevant to like our current culture and everything, it's not absent of wacky bits. Like there's some really like kind of off the wall, like ridiculous things that kind of harken back to, you know, like those teen comedies I referenced earlier. But it's just such a refreshing and well-intentioned and, like I said, just overall sex positive kind of movie. And just not what I was expecting.
Okay.
Yeah. So I highly recommend it.
Nice.
Yeah. It's my turn now, right?
It is, yeah.
Let's see. How many more do you want to do?
I don't know, just you've done 3.
Yeah.
I could do my 3rd and maybe that'd be it.
Okay.
Or do you want to do one more after that? A quick one after that?
Yeah, let's do a quick one after that, because I have...
do we want to each do one that we want to talk about? Like we each pick one from our own list?
Yes.
Okay.
Do we do that now? Did I pick 3 for you? You pick 3 for me?
You'll pick my 3rd one now.
Okay, now. So I get to pick
and then after
one
that, you can do your own, and then I'll do my own, and then we'll be done.
Okay. So Tiny...
Yes?
Tell me about Lady Bird.
Lady Bird.
Yes.
Your
face just lit up.
It did.
Yeah.
Just because this was such a fun-ass movie.
Yep.
And just such like a... I kind of... Man, I'm trying to put my finger on it, but it's kind of like... it kind of sends up a lot of cliches about like being like a teenage girl and how everything's so dramatic and fighting with your parents all the time and stuff like that. And it shines a light on that, and it makes those moments funny, but then it'll kind of trump it with another joke, or sort of it kind of makes light of those things, and it sort of brings it back to a more serious note, and it kind of, I think it's hard to say that like I didn't like identify with it, because I didn't have a lot of the same emotional experiences, or the same I don't know, the same notions and wants and desires as Lady Bird did. But like, I still know what it's like to be a teenager, and so like some of those things made sense to me. But like I understood, the kind of just the whole idea of being a teenager and like trying to understand, thinking you know so many things and feeling like you're so experienced and you feel like you know everything, but you really don't, and then you come to that realization. You come of age, basically.
Right.
It's the coming of age tale. It has that classic trope to it, but I think it's it did it in such a fresh way, I guess. I don't know. I don't understand fully why I liked it so much, to be honest. I think part of it is just that Saoirse Ronan is amazing.
Oh yeah. She was incredible.
Yeah. And if you hear her speak, like just in an interview, like her natural speaking voice she's super Irish.
Really?
Like wicked Irish accent. I mean, full on. And you would have no clue that she's Irish when you watch this movie. And a lot of other movies she's been in. She does the accent so well, and just, I feel like she encapsulated so well what it was like to be an angsty teenager in 2002. So she was so good. And, Laurie Metcalf, man, she was phenomenal too.
Yeah.
I mean, she was so great for so many years on Roseanne. And I think that's what people know her for more than anything. So she was maybe a little typecast, and, she's playing a mother in this. It's not a far stretch from Roseanne, but still it's like, I think this is a completely different kind of mother she was playing, sort of a helicopter mother before that term was really out, and kind of overprotective in a lot of ways. I really appreciated those two main, performances. They were both just phenomenal. And just I don't know, it's a coming of age tale, but, and I feel like it explored a lot of themes that we've seen before in other coming of age tales. She dates a couple boys, and like she's worried about where she's going to go to college, and she's fighting with her parents and stuff. And it's like, we've seen all that before, but for whatever reason, it felt so unique. And I'm really not sure why. I think maybe it's just because, the writer-director Greta Gerwig is she is such a creative person, and she's such a unique person that this movie, I think she has, communicated that it very closely mirrors her own experiences from being a teenager. And I think she's just a really unique person. And so that's why Lady Bird was such a cool character. And that's why the movie was it felt so unique, even though it kind of harps on or explores these very common tropes. I think you can chalk a lot of it up to just Greta Gerwig being a really unique individual person.
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
her personality is just all over the screen. You know?
And like that movie, Lady Bird just kind of blew me away. Like, I kind of wish I would have made it higher on my top 10 list for last year.
Yeah.
I mean, during the Oscars, like the actual Oscar ceremony, I was really hoping that it would win Best Picture.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like of all of the Best Picture nominees, I was like, that's the one that I would be most happy about it winning. Just because it's so damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think I must not have seen it before. Yeah, I didn't see it before the end of the year, so it didn't even make my top 10, but it would have been like, I probably would have gotten rid of The Disaster Artist and put it at number 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
It probably would have been in mine too, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so The Post, The Shape of Water, and
Jeez.
Lady Bird, I think all would have knocked something out of my top 10.
Wow.
I think they would have.
And I've been saying this for years, but we should really, like, me, you, and Mike should do an episode where we revise our top 10 list for each year that we've been podcasting.
That would be an interesting exercise, if you will.
Because if you go to my Letterboxd and go to my top 10 for 2013, I want to change everything.
Yeah.
I have Elysium on there, for God's sakes.
Elysium, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to kind of wind down with this kind of special, unique episode. This was fun. I think we should do this more often.
Yeah, this was cool. Yeah.
We're going to kind of do a quick lightning round where we're going to bring up something from our own list that we want to talk about before we head out. And do you have any TV you want to bring up too?
Not really.
Okay. Because I had one, but I can save it for later.
Okay. I think we should just each bring up one thing, and that'll be that.
Because I'll have to come up with the 13 reasons why I'll want to talk about that show. So let's see. Do you want me to go first? And then
yeah, because I just went. So.
Okay, right, yeah. Okay, so there's this movie that I had seen around Netflix for a while, and then it disappeared from Netflix. So So yeah, but it popped up on Amazon Prime, so that's how I watched it. It's called The Last Time You Had Fun, and it is it is one of those movies that is in that sub genre that I love so much. It's the one life-changing night movie.
Okay.
So it's about this group of 4 people. It's 2 pairs of adults in their 30s. There's Dimitri Martin and David. Oh crap! I can't remember his name.
Kyle Bornheimer. Yeah.
Love
the cast. I'm looking at it.
Yeah. They're like Kyle Bornheimer's character is just got divorced. Dimitri Martin's this guy who's, he's kind of trying to get Kyle Bornheimer out of his shell. While on the flip side, Mary Elizabeth Ellis plays a married woman with kind of a troubled marriage, who is suddenly greeted by her sister, played by Eliza Coupe, which, first of all, Eliza Coupe and Mary Elizabeth Ellis have such a great, on-screen, sibling chemistry.
Okay.
And that's something that, having siblings, I don't know if you're the same way, but, having siblings, that's something I really hone in on when I see movies.
Yeah, me too.
Like that one movie a few years ago, The Skeleton Twins with...
Right.
Bill Hader and Kristen Wiig.
Mm-hmm.
That was... it impacted me because it had such a strong sibling relationship.
Right.
But... Mary Elizabeth Ellis and Eliza Coupe. Eliza Coupe is just going through a breakup or divorce, what have you. So basically, these two pairs of people meet at a wine bar, and then they get to talking, and then they basically have a one night party experience. I guess it's nothing too hectic or anything, but there's a limo involved, and it's really surprising how kind of heartfelt and how deep dramatically it gets. It's this perfect kind of, it's the perfect kind of antithesis to what I said about Blockers, where Blockers is this studio comedy that is surprising because it has a lot of nuance to it and a lot of social whatever. On the flip side, The Last Time You Had Fun is this really good, an example of a really good, strong, indie comedy. It has that independent film kind of sensibility where there's not many characters or anything. It has that kind of, I don't know if this is how it was shot or anything, but it has kind of this improvised feel to it. It's not necessarily mumblecore, but it has this just relaxed nature to it, that it's not this big studio production. And some of the dramatic elements, particularly between Mary Elizabeth Ellis and Eliza Coupe's characters, they have such a interesting kind of dynamic in the movie that it kind of comes to an impasse, or comes to a climax really toward the end of the movie. There's this big scene, this big dramatic scene that both of them perform so well. They are really fantastic in this movie. That it just really, it was kind of came at a shock to me, because I was like, wow, okay, this is an indie comedy, but it's also holy shit, they're dealing with some really pretty deep kind of themes and thematic elements and everything.
Right.
And then Dimitri Martin's character and Kyle Bornheimer, they're good too. And then it's a really good group of actors doing very good performances.
Okay.
So that's The Last Time You Had Fun. It was really good. I was very, very surprised by it.
Nice.
Yeah. And
very
it is
good.
on Amazon Prime currently.
Okay, cool.
Yep. And then what's the last thing you want to bring up before we get really quiet? And I'm just taking a guess on what you're going to bring up.
Actually, it's not that.
No. Oh, really? Interesting.
This is a movie I watched a month ago that I had never even heard of. It's called 61.
You had never heard of that?
I'd never even heard of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, 61 with an asterisk. I don't know if I'm supposed to say the asterisk. I don't understand that
61
title.
asterisks.
Yes. So this movie came out in 2001. It's an HBO movie. It was directed by Billy Crystal. It tells the story of the New York Yankees season in the year 1961, where Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle were kind of duking it out as to who was going to break Babe Ruth's single season home run record, basically, which was 60 home runs. So you had it 61, and it was the year 1961. Kind of a fun coincidence there. I had never heard this story ever in my life. I'm not a baseball fan, and so like I didn't really, I'd never follow baseball. I especially don't know baseball history for shit at all. I had heard of Mickey Mantle and I had heard of Roger Maris, but I didn't really know. I knew they were both Yankees, but that's about it. I didn't really know much about them. And so, like, I remember back in, what was it, like 97 or 98 when
Mark McGwire,
when they were duking it out, and like when he broke the record. I thought back then, I remember watching the night where Mark McGwire, like I watched that game where he hit his 62nd home run. I watched that game and I was like, wow, that's cool, that's crazy. But I remember I thought he was breaking Babe Ruth's record.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like I didn't even know that Roger Maris had this record.
Wow.
I didn't really know anything about it.
Yeah, that's interesting because like Roger Maris isn't like as a name as some, like I'm not like keyed into baseball or anything, but like I'm aware of like, Babe Ruth obviously.
Right.
And Mickey Mantle.
Yeah.
But like Roger Maris, doesn't even register. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. But yeah, like, so I didn't know anything about this story. And this movie was so great. I absolutely loved this movie. And like, I'm not a baseball fan at all, but just all the conflicts going on in this movie are just really incredible. And like, I think the casting was absolutely perfect. Barry Pepper plays Roger Maris, who I think is always just a great actor to watch, even when he's in shitty movies. And then Thomas Jane is absolutely perfect for Mickey Mantle. I mean, just perfect casting. I just can't. They just absolutely hit that out of the park, pun intended. So I think when you get these two actors in these perfect roles, and just the idea that, like, there's all this controversy around, like, are these two people, it's like hashed out in the press back in 1961. Are these guys actually friends, or do they secretly not like each other? And like, Roger Maris wants the record more than Mickey Mantle does, or it's like, oh, Mickey Mantle can barely even get out on the field anymore. And it's like, just incredible how the press drummed up all these stories about these two guys. And like, it's just a really remarkable story, a sports story. And it's crazy how human it is, because at this point, I think Mickey Mantle had like 8 or 10 years with the Yankees, and he'd been playing professional baseball for like 10 or 12 years or something like that. And he was a man who lived a very rough life. And so he's kind of breaking down at this point. Like, his knee is absolutely killing him. He has like no cartilage left in his knee. And like, at one point he's like swinging a bat and he dislocates his shoulder. And he goes out there and basically hits a home run with one arm.
No shit.
And I guess that's a true story. Like, that actually happened. And like, he was just an unbelievably talented. Awesome. He was a switch hitter. He could hit home runs right-handed or left-handed.
Wow.
I mean, he's just like a once in a generation kind of athlete. Just once in a generation kind of talent. Just an absolutely incredible person. And then the pressure that Roger Maris was under, he's just not he wasn't a guy who was comfortable with talking to the press, and but of course they want to talk to him because he might break this record. And again, they try to just drum up this bullshit controversy and try to make the story bigger than it actually is. It's just a guy playing baseball, and he's playing the best baseball he's ever played, which is resulting in him possibly breaking a record. And that's how he sees it. But they want to turn it into this big story, and it's really interesting to see how the stories play out. It's really incredible. I loved the movie. It almost made me want to start watching baseball.
Really?
Which I'm not going to.
Yep.
162 games a year. That's just insane. I just can't. I can't.
I've always said that if there's any sport that I would probably be a fan of, if I were ever to be a sports fan, it would be baseball.
I'm amazed by baseball because I don't remember where I read this or when, or I might have seen it. I don't know. But it is, people may not know this, it is mathematically impossible to hit a fastball.
Really?
It's mathematically impossible. So like a fastball has to be like, I think 90 miles an hour or faster or something like that.
Okay.
That's what's considered a fastball. So the time it takes from the ball to leave the pitcher's hand before it crosses the plate, it is impossible for the human eye to see the ball, track it, and figure out where it's going to be to hit it with a bat. Like it's supposed to be mathematically impossible.
Wow.
Yeah, but people do it. Like scientists don't necessarily understand how you can hit a fastball.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's cool. Like I read that somewhere and I was like, holy, how the fuck do they do it then? That's crazy.
That's awesome.
So I've always been fascinated by that aspect of baseball. The physics of it are pretty interesting. So, but yeah, the movie was really good. You should watch it. It's on HBO Go if you have an HBO account. That's how we watched it.
Yeah, I've always been like I've always like seen it like being available and everything.
Yeah.
I've just never. It's one of those movies I just never saw.
Right.
But I've always been very intrigued by it. Mm-hmm. So.
And we kind of watched it on a happenstance. I watched it with Paige, my wife, and she. We saw Barry. We were like flipping through the channels and we saw some movie that Barry Pepper was in.
Okay.
I think for about a month we were on a war kick. We watched a bunch of war movies. Okay. And one of them was Saving Private Ryan.
Nice.
And I just mentioned how much I love Barry Pepper. And she was like, didn't he play Roger Maris in 61? And I was like, what are you talking about? I had no idea what she was talking about. And she was like, what? And she was like appalled that I hadn't seen this movie. Is she a baseball fan? Not really. But she just loves this movie. She had seen it like a handful of times, and she's like, you got to watch this. When this is over, we're going to go over to HBO Go and we're going to watch the movie. I was like, okay, I'll watch it. I like Barry Pepper.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm glad she talked me into it. It was, man, it's such a good movie.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
It's an incredible story. Just, it's a true story. It's just crazy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I will have to check that out.
Definitely do. It's good.
Yeah.
And just the fact that it was directed by Billy Crystal, too.
Oh, yeah.
He's like the biggest Yankees fan in the world.
Is he really?
He's a couple years ago, I want to say 2013 or 2014, they signed him to a 1-day contract during spring training, and he actually got to go out and like do some hits. Like
that's awesome.
He's like recorded in Yankee history now as like an actual Yankee player. That is so cool. Yep. I mean, he struck out obviously, but still, he got to take some at bats as a Yankee.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and I love Billy Crystal too. I mean,
he's amazing.
He's great. So
nice.
There's an all around great movie, great story.
Nice.
Lots of things to love about it. So yeah, 61. Go check it out.
Sweet. Awesome. All right. Well, I think that will just about do it for this episode. Coming up on the podcast, I'm going to have Kirsten back on.
Okay.
And we're going to review Skyscraper.
Nice.
And then we're going to try to get Mike on to review Won't You Be My Neighbor? If I didn't already say too much about it. And then next week at some point, I know I floated this idea to Fekis because right now San Diego Comic-Con is going on.
Yes.
So I texted Fekis and I was like, hey, do you want to come on for like a bonus episode about like whatever's going to be announced at Comic-Con?
Nice.
So that'll be in the pipeline. I'll let you know because if you want to obviously be on it.
Okay.
Yeah. And then so we should hopefully actually for the first time in a long time have a surplus of episodes to give you guys.
Sweet.
And then at some point, and probably should have done this tonight in this episode, but we need to talk about Tron Legacy.
Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we'll work that out.
Okay.
Yeah, so that'll about do it. Once again, tickets are on sale for Shocktober in Irvington. Forgot to mention at the top that you can get $1 off the price of admission by using the promo code podcast1 when you go to shocktoberinirvington.com and go to buy tickets there. So yeah, it is October 12th, 2018 at the Playground Production Studios in Irvington. Short horror films from local filmmakers, Q&As, raffles, good time all around. Once again, go to shocktoberinirvington.com. And yeah, Tiny, anything else you want to?
I think that's it.
All right, great. Well, thank you guys so much for listening, and we will puke you next time.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to The Obsessive Viewer, presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. You can find more of our episodes at ovpodcast.com, and you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or anywhere else podcasts are found. If you'd like to support the show, the best and easiest way is to leave us a rating and a review on iTunes. More ratings and reviews means it'll be easier for people to find the show in the highly competitive film and TV podcast genre. It also provides us with valuable feedback on the show. If you'd like to donate to the podcast, you can make a one-time PayPal donation at obsessiveviewer.com/donate or become a patron at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer for recurring donations with different reward tiers. Every donation goes toward paying the fees to keep the podcast running and is greatly appreciated. For official Obsessive Viewer merch, including shirts, mugs, notebooks, phone cases, and more, visit our TeePublic store. You can also buy other great TeePublic designs in our store, and we'll get a small commission on the sale. You can find a link to the store in the show notes of this episode and at obsessiveviewer.com/donate. The Obsessive Viewer's theme song is An Eclipse of Events and is provided by Loudlike from their EP, Mistakes We Must Make. You can find that and more great music from them on iTunes, and like their Facebook page at facebook.com/loudlikemusic. Any and all feedback on the podcast is encouraged. We love to hear from you guys. You can contact us by emailing podcast@obsessiveviewer.com or by tweeting us at obsessiveviewer, at obsessivetiny, and at IamMikeWhite. You can also like us on Facebook and join the Facebook group at facebook.com/theobsessiveviewer, where you can take part in discussions and polls between episodes. For more podcast content, check out Anthology, Matt's solo podcast, where he's reviewing The Twilight Zone as a first-time viewer and exploring other classic and contemporary science fiction anthology TV shows. You can find Anthology at anthologypod.com and anywhere podcasts are found. For book lovers, you can check out our sister site at obsessivebooknerd.com for book reviews, author spotlights, and a general celebration of reading. Finally, if you're philosophically curious, check out Tiny's side project podcast, The Secular Perspective, which explores the concepts of faith, religion, and existence from the perspective of secular hosts Chad and Amanda. You can find that at thesecularperspective.com and subscribe to the podcast on the app of your choice. Once again, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Kitty!